How are you? Hey, how are you doing? So, we're now live on YouTube and we're live on Instagram, and it's our nightly conversation. How is everyone doing? So, we're Instagram right here, YouTube right here. As always, please feel free to put your link in the comments. And the topic tonight is really going to be um, very informational and detailed. And join the discussion live or after this is over. Either way it go, I'm interested in what you have to say. So, hello and welcome. Good evening. My name is Nikia, the founder and creator of Perfectly Packaged You. How are you, Instagram? How are you, YouTube? And I trying to get more active again with my lives, especially for relevant content. So tonight's topic for 30 minutes, we're going to talk about really, he's not the topic, but he will be a point brought into it. Dwayne Wade and his son, or now he's not acknowledging to be his daughter, Zaya. Okay, so I haven't said anything because I've really been reading and listening to interviews and content and people's feelings and blah blah blah. And so today I was like, okay, today's the day I'll respond. Hey, Temple Beauty Supply, let me wave at you. Hey. So one of the things that stuck with me about this topic in regards to Dwayne Wade and his son, or his daughter, excuse me, Zaya, is a lot of people are upset that Dwayne is going out promoting the fact that I'm just going to say daughter because that's how he's acknowledging his daughter, so I'm going to respect that. People are upset the way that he's going around acknowledging it so much that a lot of people are commenting that that's those things that should stay behind closed doors. You shouldn't be out there doing that. That's his business or her business and blah, blah, blah. So this video is not about what they should and shouldn't be doing. Again, none of that is my mission. I think parents have the right to be parents when they're doing things for the betterment of their children. Now, there are a lot of parents out there in the world that intentionally harm their children. And then, yes, I think comments and people that have the child's best interest at heart, you should weigh in on that. But I don't think this is one of these cases. So I'm going to weigh in on this. And here's my thing. We live in a time, especially in my generation and before me, that we were taught a closed mouth will stay behind. What goes on in the house stays in the house. Don't take my business outside. If you feeling some kind of way, don't you tell nobody but me. And a lot of times I'm encountering, I should say, women and men who are purging themselves of the generational curses or the generational things that we have grown into, especially people of color. We didn't talk about finances, or we weren't trained when we were young because our parents probably weren't trained. Not all, but a lot of them. So we're learning to do things differently. We're learning what self-love actually looks like and means, because we're living in a world now where we can actually show that and we can receive that for ourselves. Our parents probably are the biggest healers right now because they're allowing themselves to learn something new that they weren't learned or taught early on in life. Our children today have it a little better when it comes to information because they don't have just us. They have the internet if they look at the positive stuff. They have mentors everywhere. They have a lot of programs everywhere. So there's a little bit of a difference now, slightly better in a way of knowing self or understanding self or having a visual of things that are positive, versus just staying in the house and keeping your mouth closed. So I was watching a video today, and a young lady posted about how she felt about the topic of Dwayne Wade going around sharing his son being called a girl and wants to be known as Zaya and blah, blah, blah. And she said, and I quote, "That should stay behind your doors. Nobody needs to know about that. Your child don't know nothing, blah, blah, blah." Here's the thing. What conversations is this man having as a Black man with his son at the time, and having to really learn for himself that his son wants to be called a girl? His son is identifying himself as a girl. He had to reconcile that first. Number one, as a Black man, especially a Black athlete growing up in Chicago. You don't think this man is identified as a man and knows what that looks like? But he has to come to terms that his now daughter his son wants to be, is acknowledging that he's a girl. And again, my things aren't about your sex preference. That's not it. What we teach at Perfectly Packaged You is self-acceptance and self-love. And I, for one, want to congratulate and applaud Dwayne. not even about the sexual stuff. That's not, again, my mission, not my conversation. But it's really about the fact that you have someone that is willing to speak up for their child. And I think some of that is being missed because in today's world, we tend to make conversations about something else. For example, when Snoop went on live and he said what he said, and he used the words that he used, well, half the world went nuts because he called a woman such angry words. And he went and apologized, right? Forget everything else. He apologized. But the reason got lost. It got lost that the insensitive comments, the insensitive like pushing in a time that really wasn't necessary, that we have the right in this world to say, no, I'm not going to do that. No, I'm not going to say that. And that was totally dismissed. And we started to really talk about the comments that were had, the anger that was directed towards Gail and all that kind of stuff. So I want to make sure that we stick to the subject. You have someone that is going out saying, first in their home, I love you, daughter. Now, I love you. If this is who you identify yourself to be, because we went through everything that we probably could have went through. I'm going to see if I can find in YouTube the comments. I'm not sure if it shows a live comment or not, YouTube. So I'm going to make sure that I check the comments. But if in this person's home, if he's already reconciled that for himself and had the conversation with Zaya, then please allow him to be honest with himself and the world, because we're looking at Dawayne, but how many people across the country, let's just say people of color right now, how many people of color have that going on in their home? They have children that really identify in the LGBTQ space, really identify, and they don't know what to do. They don't know how to have the conversation. They know that it's serious for them. They know that it's a real conversation, but they don't know who to turn and who to talk to because of the ridicule that could face them. And now they're being called bad parents and blah, blah, blah. So when I say, yes, I applaud you, Dwayne Wade, I do, because at the end of the day, you're allowing somebody else across this space to hear your honest truth and know that you're dealing with the backlash, but they're willing to be just as brave as you. Now, Zaya had to come to terms for herself too, whether I agree with it or not. I'm not saying I do or I don't. I'm just saying whether I agree with it or not, that person has to come to terms with what they feel for who they are supposed to be. And the ridicule that young person is going to face and probably has already faced in the world of youth space, which is already a hard space for young people. So I'm not going to be one of many to make this about something else. Okay, you guys can have that conversation. I'm here to talk about social responsibility. And as a parent myself to a young man who's going on 22, I have to say, if my son came to me and told me, Mom, I identify as a female, I don't know how I would feel about it. I can only assume my heart will sink. I can only assume I would be lost for words. I can only assume I probably would internally break down because I'm thinking of all the challenges that he could go through. But these are the same challenges, just different challenges, but the same challenges that I feel now when he leaves the house from where he lives and goes to work and he has to drive there and he walks around with a hoodie, or when he walks around with his natural hair picked out or something like that. I already have the anxiety for him. So to add this level of anxiety is going to be super hard. And I can't tell you how I would feel. But what I can tell you is I love my baby and I will support my baby. And my baby calls me today to say, Mom, I'm thinking about doing this and it could move me across the country. And the first thing that I tell my son is live your life. You don't have to stay anywhere local to me to make me happy. You can move wherever you want to live because that may be where your best life is lived. So make that happen for you. I do that for my baby because at the end of the day, he's not calling me for approval because he's going to do what he's going to do or be who he's going to be regardless. He's just calling for support. And again, I'm not making this about sexuality and the bigger conversations that could have with that. That's not what I'm having here. And I so wish that I could see these comments on YouTube. I don't know why I can't, but I see someone is commenting. So I'm so sorry. But leave your comments because I want to be sure I respond to you on YouTube. But what I'm saying is, I want us to have real conversations with one another about how we can be a support to one another. We're talking about a man that has millions and millions of dollars, who's married to a woman with millions and millions of dollars. The last thing they're looking for is our approval. What they're doing is giving others who don't have the same voice a voice, giving parents a way to, in their home, to look and say, okay, maybe I need to start here. Maybe I need to be open to at least listen to my child. Because guess what? If you're mad at Dwayne for doing what he's doing, regardless, for whatever reason, and he shuns his child and says, you know what, I can't do this with you. I'm going to read Instagram in a second. If you allow Dwayne to shun his child because you guys don't like how he's doing or what he's doing or none of that, what happens when his child says, no one hears me, and takes himself out? See, that happens on a day-to-day basis. And we see that throughout social media. And then everybody's commenting, we're the parents. Everyone's commenting, rip RIP. Everyone's commenting, this poor soul. I wish we had people that really stood up for our kids. But then when they stand up in their own way, we ridicule them. Again, I don't care about the sexual preference and the longevity of things. That's not my conversation. It's about allowing responsible parents to be responsible with the lives of their children, and not having your opinion of, well, this, and this. When you're asking for parents to be responsible with their kids. So I'm going to read Instagram. It says, we should try and be our kids' biggest cheerleaders, number one, and they will be mad if they mistreat her. Exactly. Number one, let me comment too. We should try to be our kids' biggest cheerleaders. Yes, we should, because at the end of the day, who else do they have? If you have a child who's telling you, and this is, let's say, a girl, and she's going to her mother and saying, Mom, these girls keep talking about me, and one of them pushed me. And then you're like, okay, we'll tell the teacher. And they tell the teacher, and the teacher's like, well, I saw you talking to them wrong, so maybe you deserved it. Or, you know what, you guys just apologize and move on. And now the kids know that the girl is telling. So privately, they're ridiculing the kid, or bullying her. And now she can't come to you because she feels like, well, you know, I don't want to tell my mom because she's going to be real mad. And if she's one of the moms, like some of us moms are, will roll up to the school on a child and say, listen, where your mama, where your daddy, I'm going to stay right here till they come. And then we're going to all talk about this. If she's one of those kids, like my son will go, Mom, I ain't telling you because I know how you act, and I just don't want you to come up here. See, my son thought on my behalf, and sometimes he shouldn't have because I needed to take care of something. But he did because he knew that my reaction is, let me go straight to their mom and daddy. Let's nip this in the bud right now. If that kid doesn't come to the parent because they don't want that parent to go SHIT, then they're going to keep that in, and they're going through all this internally. But when you're a parent that says, tell me anything, it's okay, I'm not going to react, I'm going to listen, and we're going to talk about this together, and we're going to figure out a way, the best way to go about this, so that way my reaction doesn't come at your detriment, then I applaud you, parents, because at least you're willing to work with them. I just feel some kind of way about the gang up that everyone's having on Dwayne, and they're making it about the sexuality, and we're forgetting he's being responsible with his daughter's life. I'm saying daughter because that's how Zaya wants to be referenced as. So yes, I'm going to respect Zaya's wishes and say daughter. And another thing, when I guess it was Dwayne and Gabrielle and Zaya who took a picture, and she had a crop shirt on. Everyone went SHIT again, saying what 12-year-old should be wearing a crop shirt. Well, let me be honest, there's a whole lot out here wearing a crop shirt. So again, we're ridiculing children all while we're asking for everyone else to stop ridiculing children. Let's work together and find a way to be better communicators to our young people. There are young kids out there committing suicide every single day because they're being bullied. They're committing suicide because they don't know who they can turn to. Sometimes the parents are receptive, sometimes they're not. Sometimes the school is receptive, sometimes they're not. This young man is going to go through, or Zaya, is going to go through life dealing with people who care and don't care on a day-to-day basis. And all I'm saying is, understand that your comments, your videos, your derogatory information doesn't help. You're actually adding to a world that already hurts. So I'm going to read this comment. Say that again. Respect your children. Okay, let me say that again because I don't remember everything. The oldness. But respect your children. Yeah, respect your children. Your children are individuals, individuals that are growing into adults. You, me, nobody. That what we're guaranteed to do in this life is die. Let me say that again. The one thing we are all guaranteed to do in this life is die. Now, put this in perspective. Imagine Zaya being afraid to share her truth with Dwayne, or whoever else, Gabrielle, whomever else. Let's just assume. And Dwayne, I keep saying Dwayne, yeah, Dwayne Wade. Let's say he died tomorrow, and he never got the opportunity to share the truth with the father. So now he doesn't have a true advocate. He just have people that love him. But that's a difference. People are surrounded by love every day, but we're not surrounded by advocates every day. So who's going to be the advocate for this young person growing into an adult? What Dwayne did, he paved the way for his own daughter right now. He paved the way for Zaya to feel comfortable in the skin that she's now relating to. He is paving the way for children to speak to their parents openly and know that there are places out there that have advocates for them. So, yes, I'm going to continue to give Dwayne Wade applaud. I applaud you. I celebrate you, my brother. Let me be very clear. I applaud you and celebrate you because if you don't do what you're doing for your daughter, Zaya, then somebody else's child who identifies as a girl, who identifies as a boy, may not have the same, a lot of them don't have the same advocates. So you may be the person that they're looking to as their quote unquote behind the scenes Instagram daddy. Let's be real. I mean, I see a whole lot of people out there talking about Beyonce as mama and Jay-Z as daddy. So there's a whole lot of people that's looking at Dwayne saying, man, that's my dad too. Because he's the only man I know that can relate to me. So I'm going to look at it from that way. I'm not going to care about sex and clothing and lip gloss and nails or the fact that, she wants a sex change at some age. That has nothing to do with me. That don't pay my bills on a day-to-day basis. It doesn't change the narrative of my beliefs on a day-to-day basis. What it does is it gives me reassurance that there are people out there that are still advocating for children. So I applaud Dwayne Wade. Okay, and I think we should all applaud because it takes a strong man to say my son is gay and identifies as a young lady and not beat him, not ridicule him, not disrespect him, not treat him less than. He celebrates him, he uplifts him. And I want to say thank you, Dwayne Wade, for being an advocate for the LGBTQ space, for young people that are identifying in that space, and for young boys and or girls who don't know how to say it. You may have given them a voice. Now, why is it super important to me? I'm not sure if you guys see it. At Perfectly Packaged You, what we do is we educate hygiene education. We go into schools, after school programs, workshops through nonprofits, government agencies, and so forth. And we talk to girls specifically about menstrual cycle, menstrual etiquette, and we ship our boxes nationwide. You'll see the logo behind you. You can go to perfectlypackagedyou.com. What I've learned by doing this and going into schools and DCFS programs is there are a lot of young ladies that want to be identified as boys, whether they transition or not. For whatever reasons, whether it's trauma related or it's growth and birth related, they don't want to identify as girls. And I have to respect that as an educator in my business from my program's perspective. I cannot go in and say, I don't care if you don't identify as this, you still gonna use this. How did that help them? How did they receive that information? So because of that, we have now our Pride. It's our Perfectly Packaged Pride. So they get everything they need, young ladies, because it's menstrual related. They get everything they need in this box. Everything. The same things they get in here, which are the hygiene menstrual items, they get it in here. Now, here's the beauty of that. We had some boxes that we brought into an after-school program, and some of the girls took the Pride box. They had the same items. When we did the workshop, the information was the same. They just grabbed what they wanted to grab so they can identify in that space. They wanted it to be for them. They wanted that information to be very specific and personal for them. And I respect young people. I respect your position. I respect your information you're giving me. And I want you to understand that we're not going to tell you what to do and who to be. We just want you to be your best selves. The same things for boys. We have boys that want to grab a pretty package, which is this one right here. Now, I won't shy away from it, but very specifically, this is our girls box. We do have our boys side that we're launching as far as gentlemen under construction. We're revamping our boxes. But for now, the boys items come in the LGBTQ box. So I say all that to say, I'm not on Instagram or YouTube to tell you how you should govern yourselves or how you should govern your children. That's for you to do. What I am saying is there are a lot of young people out there that just don't have advocates. There are a lot of young people that just want information and to be accepted. But every day, the same young people we're talking about or discarding, they have hygiene, they have peers that they encounter, they have information that they need to learn, which is self-love, self-care, because self-care is self-love. And I want to be sure that in my company, in my business, that we are giving these young people the information they need for them, for their understanding. So I dedicate tonight's episode. First of all, it's February, so we're still celebrating Black History Month, and you can see our pride bracelet right here. So we're dedicating this episode to our pride box, our perfectly packaged pride, which is our custom bands. So when you grab your pride box, you get your bracelet. This is dedicated to our perfectly packaged pride. Why? Because I appreciate any young person or parent, guardian, mentor, doesn't matter who. I appreciate you living in your truth. I appreciate you still understanding that hygiene is your responsibility. And at the end of the day, you still have to equip yourself with the information so you can present your best self. Forget anybody else's characteristics of you. Forget anyone else labeling you. You are responsible for you. And I want to be sure that you know that. We celebrate you today, tomorrow, and here on out. So we're celebrating and dedicating this pod and this live to Perfectly Packaged Pride for you. So with that being said, tag someone, let them know, share the love, spread the love. And again, we don't come here with any information to tell you what you better do. We're just saying, do it with love. So with that, I want you guys to have a fantastic evening. I'm going to hop on off here and go ahead and start watching some more content so I can get ready for tomorrow. Have a great evening. Thank you for joining. Bye. Thank you so much, you two, for joining. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share this because someone out there needs to know that at the end of the day, it doesn't matter your sexual preference. You just know being responsible for yourself is your responsibility, your social responsibility. And at the end of the day, whomever you identify yourself as, be your best self. And that's all you can be. Have a good day.